everyone, welcome back to my channel. Before we go any further, I need you to feel this for a second. There's a woman in your life right now who may already love you, and you're about to miss it. Not because she hides it well, but because you were never taught how to see it, and that should bother you. So before I reveal what most men never notice, take 1 second to subscribe, like this video, and commit to finally understanding what's been right in front of you all along. Now listen carefully. A woman who secretly loves you does not always chase you, confess, or make it obvious. In fact, the deeper her feelings are, the more controlled, subtle, and even confusing her behavior becomes. Because love for her is not just emotion, it's vulnerability. And vulnerability is dangerous when it's not safe. So instead of telling you, she shows you, quietly, repeatedly, in ways that most men completely overlook. You see, men are trained to recognize loud signals, attention, affection, direct words. But a woman who truly feels something deeper, she moves differently. She protects her heart while slowly inviting you into it, hoping you notice without forcing her to say it out loud. And here's the truth most people won't tell you. If you miss these signs, she won't keep trying forever. She'll pull back. She'll convince herself you're not emotionally aware enough. And one day, she'll disappear. Not because she didn't love you, but because you didn't see her. That's why this matters. Because what you're about to hear isn't about manipulation, games, or tricks. This is about emotional intelligence. This is about seeing what others miss. This is about becoming the man who understands before it's too late. And once you understand these behaviors, you won't just recognize love. You'll feel the shift in how women respond to you entirely. So stay with me. Because the first thing she does when she secretly loves you is something so small, so easy to dismiss, that most men never realize it's happening until she's already gone. When a woman secretly loves you, her behavior starts to revolve around you in ways that don't always feel obvious at first. She may not say how she feels, but she will consistently show up in your world with a level of presence that feels intentional. She remembers small details you casually mention, things most people would forget within minutes. That memory is not accidental. It reflects emotional investment. When a woman cares deeply, she listens differently. She isn't just hearing your words, she is interpreting your emotions behind them. You might notice she asks follow-up questions about your day, your goals, or even your stress. And those questions are not random. They are her way of staying connected without overwhelming you. Another subtle sign is how she adjusts her behavior around you. She becomes slightly more attentive, more composed, or even a little nervous, because your presence matters to her in a deeper way. This isn't about playing games. It's about emotional awareness shaping her reactions. She may also find reasons to stay in contact, whether it's sending a message, reacting to something you posted, or creating small moments of interaction. These actions are her way of keeping a bridge open without forcing anything unnatural. Most importantly, she invests time and energy without expecting immediate returns. That patience is one of the clearest indicators of genuine interest, because attention without pressure often reveals emotional depth that words alone cannot express. When you begin to recognize these patterns, you stop guessing and start understanding what her actions have been saying all along, quietly, consistently, and without needing validation from anyone else, including herself at times, because feelings can grow before she fully admits them, even internally. Which is why observation matters more than assumption in moments like these, when truth hides in subtle repetition rather than bold confession itself, shaping connections slowly over time rather than instantly revealed in a single moment of clarity that most people expect but rarely receive. Without first learning how to notice what is already there in front of them every single day, without needing explanation or confirmation to validate its existence at all. Because real interest does not always announce itself loudly. It reveals itself through consistency, patience, and attention that feels natural rather than forced or performative. In everyday moments between conversations, interactions, and shared silence that carries meaning beyond spoken language. Another thing a woman does when she secretly loves you is she becomes emotionally available in a very selective way. She may not open up to everyone, but with you she begins to share thoughts, opinions, and even small personal experiences that she normally keeps guarded. This is not random. Emotional sharing is one of the strongest indicators of trust, and trust is the foundation of deeper feelings. When she lets you see her inner world, she is testing a silent question in her mind. Is this safe? Will he handle me with care? And the more comfortable she feels, the more she reveals over time. You might notice she talks to you differently compared to others. Her tone softens, her responses become more thoughtful, and she may even pause longer before replying because she is choosing her words carefully. That effort is not something she gives to everyone. It is reserved for the person who matters. Another subtle behavior is how she reacts to your emotions. If you are stressed, she may show concern without making it obvious. If you are happy, she mirrors that energy. This emotional synchronization is a quiet form of bonding that often goes unnoticed. She is not just interacting with you, she is aligning herself with your emotional state. You may also see her remembering things that matter to you and bringing them up later in conversation, showing that she values what you value. These are not grand gestures, but they carry weight because they reflect attention, care, and internal investment. A woman who secretly loves you does not always try to impress you with dramatic actions. Instead, she builds a pattern of subtle consistency that, when observed over time, reveals a deeper layer of attachment. The key is understanding that emotional openness does not happen instantly. It unfolds gradually as she becomes more certain about how you will treat her inner world. And if you are paying attention, you will notice that she is giving you access to parts of herself that others never get to see, which is one of the clearest signs that you are no longer just another person in her life, but someone she is quietly and carefully allowing herself to feel something real for, without saying it directly out loud. When a woman secretly loves you, one of the most telling behaviors is how she prioritizes you without making it obvious. She may not openly declare that you matter most, but her actions begin to reflect subtle adjustments in her time, energy, and availability. You might notice that she becomes more responsive to you than she is to others, even when she is busy. Not in an obsessive or unhealthy way, but in a consistent pattern that shows you are not low on her list. She makes space for you, even in a life that is already full. Another sign is how she reacts when you are not giving her attention. Instead of immediately chasing or confronting, she may go quiet for a short period, observing your behavior. This is not indifference. It is her way of protecting her emotions while still staying connected. She is trying to understand your level of interest without risking her own vulnerability too quickly. But at the same time, she will often reappear in small ways, sending a message, reacting to something, or creating a reason to interact again. That push and pull is not confusion for the sake of games, it is emotional regulation in action. You may also notice that she remembers your presence even when you are not actively communicating. She might reference past conversations, bring up shared experiences, or show familiarity with your habits and preferences. This indicates that you occupy mental space in her daily thoughts. People do not invest mental energy into those they feel nothing for. What most men miss is that a woman who secretly loves you will rarely compete for your attention in loud or aggressive ways. Instead, she positions herself in a way where being around you feels natural, not forced. She aligns with your rhythm rather than disrupting it. And over time, her consistency becomes the signal. Not one big gesture, but a pattern that repeats quietly in the background of your interactions. If you learn to recognize this, you stop looking for dramatic proof and start noticing behavioral alignment. Because when a woman is genuinely invested, she doesn't need to convince you with words. Her presence, her timing, and her subtle prioritization begin to speak for her in ways that become undeniable once you finally know what to look for. A woman who secretly loves you will also begin to show a level of protectiveness that feels subtle but becomes more noticeable over time. This doesn't mean control or possession. It shows up in the way she reacts when something seems off in your life, or when she senses you're not being treated well by others. She may not confront directly in a dramatic way, but her concern will surface through questions, suggestions, or even quiet disapproval of situations that don't align with your well-being. At the same time, she becomes more aware of how others interact with you. Without making it obvious, she pays attention to who is around you, how they behave, and what kind of energy they bring into your life. This awareness is not rooted in jealousy alone, but in emotional investment. When a woman cares deeply, your environment begins to matter to her because, in her mind, your well-being and her emotional connection are no longer separate. Another important sign is how she supports your growth. She doesn't just engage with you in casual or surface-level ways. She starts encouraging your goals, acknowledging your efforts, and sometimes even challenging you to be better. This isn't about control, it's about alignment. She sees your potential and wants to be connected to the version of you that is evolving, not stagnant. That kind of encouragement often comes from someone who is emotionally invested in your future, even if she never explicitly says it. You may also notice that she becomes more emotionally responsive to your presence over time. Small things you do begin to matter more to her. Your tone, your consistency, your effort, these are not overlooked. In fact, they are closely observed and internally evaluated. A woman who secretly loves you is constantly gathering emotional data about how you show up. Not to judge you harshly, but to understand whether what she feels has a place to grow safely. And here's what most men fail to realize. When a woman reaches this level of subtle protectiveness and quiet support, she is already emotionally attached in ways she may not fully express out loud. Her feelings are no longer hypothetical. They are active, shaping how she thinks, reacts, and positions herself around you. Which means the connection is no longer just social. It has become personal, meaningful, and emotionally significant to her in a way that requires careful handling if it is to grow rather than fade away unnoticed. The final thing you need to understand is this. A woman who secretly loves you will eventually show inconsistency when she feels uncertain about you. Not because her feelings are fake, but because her emotions are real enough to create internal conflict. She may pull back at times, become slightly distant, or even act neutral when she is overwhelmed by how much she feels but hasn't received clear reassurance in return. This shift is not rejection, it is self-protection. When a woman invests emotionally without clarity from you, her mind begins to evaluate risk. She starts asking herself whether it is safe to continue feeling this way. And during that internal process, her behavior may fluctuate. One moment she is warm and engaged, the next she seems reserved or distracted. That change often confuses men, but in reality it is a reflection of her trying to regain emotional balance while still holding on to what she feels for you. You might also notice that she becomes more observant of your actions during these moments. She is not just reacting to what you say, but to how consistent you are over time. Consistency builds trust. Inconsistency creates hesitation. And if she senses uncertainty from your side, she will slowly adjust her own level of emotional exposure to protect herself from potential disappointment. However, if you respond with clarity, presence, and steady behavior, her inconsistency begins to settle. She starts to feel secure again, and her natural warmth returns. That shift reveals something important. Her distance was never absence of feeling, but a reaction to emotional ambiguity. A woman who secretly loves you is always balancing between two forces, her desire to connect and her need to protect herself. When those two are in harmony, her behavior becomes more open, more consistent, and more aligned with you. When they are not, she pulls back just enough to regain control of her emotions. Understanding this is what separates confusion from clarity. Because once you recognize that her subtle changes are tied to how safe and understood she feels, you stop misinterpreting her actions as disinterest and start seeing them for what they truly are, signals of a deeper emotional process that requires awareness, patience, and emotional intelligence to navigate properly. And at that point, you're no longer guessing what she feels, you're reading it.